What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nash here. Welcome back to the channel. Now before we get started with today's video, the road to 200 subs has now come to a close. And we are now on the road to 500 subs. Who knows, maybe we might hit 500 subs by the end of the summer. Only time will tell. But as I've said in previous videos, if this channel does get to 500 subs, I will open up this Korean LOB booster box in its entirety on the channel that I got from my partners at Collector Store. So be sure to check them out. Link and address will be in the description below. By checking them out, not only does it support them, it also supports the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it. On the hopes to potentially pull a Blue Eyes White Dragon, a Dark Magician, a Red Eyes Black Dragon, a piece of Exodia, Monster Reborn, Pot of Greed. The possibilities are out there. However, if this channel gets to 1,000 subs, I will open up this first edition Toon Chaos box in its entirety on the channel that I also got from my partners at Collector Store, on the hopes to potentially pull a collector's rare out of the set, much similar to what I pulled out of my Genesis Impact box that I opened up last year, which, if I can pry it out, there we go, is this beautiful B-Cop from the Underworld. This thing looks absolutely beautiful, you guys. Obviously, with all the new dark-based decks that are going to be coming out into the format, this card is definitely going to be coming in quite handy. So, definitely pick yourself up a few copies. Excuse me. Off of Troll and Toad or TCG Player, depending on your preference. But as for me, I'm going to get my copy graded, but I never really came up with a good opportunity to do so. But with that being said, if you guys want to see these boxes get opened, maybe you guys want more episodes of WWE's Biggest Issue, maybe you guys want more episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh's Biggest Issue, deck profiles, card discussions, WWE topic videos, or maybe, just maybe, excuse me, maybe, just maybe, you guys want some premium live event predictions and results. Well, if you guys want all of that and more, my channel is the place to be. So if you guys are new to the channel, and I know that a lot of you guys are, because more than 80% of you guys are watching the content, but you guys aren't even subscribed. And to top it all off, we got to get more women to watch the content as well. So if you guys are watching the content, you like the content, and you want more of the content, but you guys have not subscribed as of yet, then make sure you guys do indeed subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, smash that thumbs up button on this video, and as always, make sure you guys are following me on all of my social media. My ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And I want you guys to post in the comments below answering the question of the day, which is basically today's video, which is this: do you guys believe that Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce made the right draft picks, or do you believe that their rosters should have been different? Let me know down in the comments below. And for today's video, I'll be doing a full in-depth review of the 2024 WWE Draft and what the new rosters are looking like for both Raw and SmackDown. And honestly, looking at this list, at these two rosters, honestly, I don't know. Some of them are probably like the right calls that both Pierce and Aldis made, but at the same time, there are some that I feel like they should have been different. So let's get down to it with the first night of the draft that was this past Friday on SmackDown, which only had 4 rounds, in which actually technically there was 5. 4 rounds during SmackDown, and then the 5th round was actually during SmackDown Lowdown, and then of course Raw had 6 rounds, with the 7th round taking place on Raw Talk. So the first round of the 2024 draft on the side of Monday Night Raw, Raw selected main event Jey Uso and Seth freaking Rollins. Honestly, literally you can't go wrong with Jey Uso and Seth freaking Rollins. I mean, both of them were the MVPs of WrestleMania Night 2's main event, which was Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. Obviously, both helped Cody finish. Obviously, they both helped Cody finish the story. Rollins literally became Cody's shield by taking a chair shot to the back by Roman Reigns. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised, but probably that right there was just too smart. Was the right call. So I actually have 2 pens here with me. One is blue, one is red. Actually, I think I might have a purple one. Yeah. So I have 3 pens with me: blue, purple, and red. Blue is obviously making the right choice. Red is making the wrong choice, and purple is will actually represent why I think it's a weird choice, like whether or not they should have picked that superstar or whatnot. So for Jey and Rollins, hands down smart pick, smart choice. Now, as far as SmackDown goes, they chose Bianca Belair and NXT's Carmelo Hayes. Honestly, I'm not surprised. Bianca Belair, I believe, being the 3rd woman in history to be the #1 overall draft pick. So, to be honest, Bianca, smart choice. 100% smart choice. Now, Carmelo Hayes, on the other hand, I mean, it's Carmelo Hayes. I feel like Carmelo Hayes should have went to Raw, but given the fact that he's had a lot of success on SmackDown already, and has already proven himself to be a threat, not only to Logan Paul and the United States title, but now also to Cody Rhodes and the WWE title, I think that was the right move in my honest opinion. Moving into the 2nd round of night 1 of the draft, Raw selected Braun Breaker and Liv Morgan. Breaker, honestly, no. That was a bad move. That was literally that was right there a very, very bad move. The reason I say that is because Braun is, yes, don't get it twisted. Yes, it's true that Breaker did regain the NXT title, the Raw after WrestleMania a couple of years ago. And yes, he did have some form of success, but to be fair, that was only one, maybe 2 matches. Breaker's has had about 3 or 4 matches on SmackDown, and has literally dominated. So I feel like Breaker should have stayed on SmackDown, but that's just me. That's just my honest opinion. Liv on the other hand, hands down, smart choice. Obviously there are so many rivalries that are taking place on Raw. Obviously Jey Uso, dealing with Priest and the Judgment Day again. Obviously, Liv, having her bullshit with Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley. So I'm not surprised on that. I am honestly not surprised. Now, as far as SmackDown goes, they chose for the second round Randy Orton and Nia Jax. Honestly, Nia Jax definitely a smart pick because there was really nothing left for her on Raw, and Randy Orton obviously has his problems dealing with having dealt with Logan Paul, A-Town Down Under, the Bloodline. So I'm not surprised. I am not surprised. I feel like with going back with Braun Breaker, yes, he should have stayed on SmackDown, because once you get a look at round 5 and who else got drafted, you would be surprised as to why I believe Breaker should have stayed on SmackDown. But as far as round 3 goes, Raw chose Ricochet and Sheamus. Obviously, both of them smart picks. Obviously, Sheamus, has only been back for like maybe a couple weeks, and for him to come back and to stay on Raw, that's fucking awesome. And also, we got his old theme song back. I think what's it called, Written in My Face, I think it's called. So we finally got that back, which is awesome. And as far as Ricochet goes, Samantha Irvin gets to also stay on Raw, so I'm not surprised. Now, as far as SmackDown goes, probably two of the smartest, some very, very wise picks, LA Knight and the Bloodline. I know that with LA Knight, it's going to be a bit controversial because of the fact that people might say that LA Knight should have stayed on Raw, and and the fact that he had already done what he set out to do on SmackDown. To be fair, he still has a little bit of beef left over with Logan Paul after their little encounter from last year when Money in the Bank took place in London. So that's definitely something to think about. And as far as the Bloodline goes, I mean, I'm not surprised that they would stay on SmackDown, but the fact that they were the last pick of round 3 proves that what Roman Reigns did was the smart thing to do, which he literally withdrew from the draft, meaning he was no longer eligible, and that means he is now officially after next Monday, he will officially be a free agent, meaning he will be allowed to go to all 3 brands if he need be upon his return. But going into the fourth and final on air fourth and final round of the draft, Raw selected all the members of the Alpha Academy and Kiana James. Honestly, Alpha Academy, I'm not surprised, but that was a smart pick. Now, as far as Kiana James goes, you see the purple. This one is a controversial one. I feel like Kiana James could have gone to either brand, because of the fact that the women's rosters on both brands are exactly like NXT, stacked to the fucking brim. I mean, think of some of the talent that she could have faced on SmackDown. Bianca Belair, Nia Jax, Jade Cargill. Spoiler alert. Spoiler. Just to name a few. And even also Charlotte Flair when she comes back. There's a lot of talent. So I don't know if her on Raw was the right call, or if she could have gone to NXT. That's just how I see it. But as far as SmackDown goes, they chose AJ Styles and Andrade, which, I'm gonna be honest, AJ Styles, Staying on SmackDown, the house that AJ Styles built, I'm not surprised. Andrade, on the other hand, this is actually kind of funny because they literally traded Andrade and Braun Breaker with one another, which is hilarious. So this means that when Charlotte Flair returns, she'll be a part of SmackDown. Honestly, this one, in my opinion, is controversial. I'm giving this one the purple check mark because I feel like when you look at Andrade, if he were to go after the United States title, it's like, what's the point? It's like, what's the point? He's already been U.S. champion. Why not have him stay on Raw and go after the Intercontinental title, which is currently held by Sami Zayn? Why not? You know, it just doesn't make sense in my opinion. But as far as the final round, which took place on Raw Talk, Raw chose the Unholy Union, known as they chose the team known as the Unholy Union, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, Ivar, Shayna Baszler, and Zoe Stark. Fire and Dawn, honestly, I think that was the right call. The reason for it is because there wasn't a whole lot for them on SmackDown, so maybe, just maybe, there might be something for them on Raw. Perhaps maybe go after the women's tag team titles. It's possible. It's possible. Ivar, definitely a smart pick. As far as Shayna Baszler goes, I mean, she had already dominated Raw anyway, so I feel like she could have gone to either brand. So purple check mark for Shayna. But as far as Zoe Stark goes, she is still in the young stages of her career, so her staying on Raw, best move possible. But as far as SmackDown goes, they chose, get this, here's the reason why I feel like Breaker should have stayed on SmackDown. It's because SmackDown chose Baron Corbin from NXT. Then they chose all the members of the OC, and of course the new team of Cedric Alexander and Ashante the Adonis. Corbin to NXT, wise choice. That right there was the best pick Aldis could have gotten. And had Pierce not have chose Breaker, we would have had a Wolf Dogs reunion. A Wolf Dogs reunion, but unfortunately it was not meant to be. OC staying on Raw, smart pick. Cedric and Ashante, I don't know. This one is a bit controversial because of the fact that when you look at the fact that these two had just started to team up, I feel like they should have went over to Raw, but to be honest, they could have also went back to NXT. So purple check mark for them. Purple check mark. That was pretty much it for night one. Honestly, honestly, there were a few that were the right picks, but the rest of them, could have went to another brand. But now we move into night two of the draft that took place last night, and the first round picks, Raw chose Imperium and Damage Control. You know what? Imperium to staying on Raw, best thing going. Damage Control to SmackDown. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I feel like Io Sky is owed a rematch for the WWE Women's Title, but then again, if you really think about it, think about it, the women's tag team champions, the Kabuki Warriors, even though they're a part of the Raw roster, they're allowed to go to all three brands. So this one is a bit controversial. I think having them on Raw is pretty cool, but at the same time, they could have just stayed as free agents, and Io Sky would have been able to have challenged Bayley for the WWE Women's Title at some point down the road. So for me, this is a purple check mark for Damage Control. Now, as far as Raw, that's on Raw. SmackDown chose Jade Cargill and Kevin Owens. This now means that both teams, Belair and Cargill, plus Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, are staying on SmackDown, and Belair and Cargill might end up becoming the new women's tag team champions, which is possible, but we'll have to wait and see. But honestly, those were smart picks by Aldis. He made the right call to keeping Jade Cargill and Kevin Owens on SmackDown. No other way. There was no other way. Like, I think it was better to keep some of his top best talent rather than keeping talent that hasn't been on TV all that much, if you will. So honestly, I think we're gonna be seeing two very formidable tag teams on SmackDown. Now, as far as round 2 goes, this one is interesting. For round 2, Raw chose CM Punk and Braun Strowman. Punk stayed on Raw. Smart choice. Smart choice. Obviously, Punk has been injured and he's been out of action for a while, but he's been showing up constantly, damn near every single week on Raw, literally just to make Drew McIntyre's life a living fucking hell. Which honestly, I fucking love it. I think it's funny that McIntyre is literally playing he's being forced to play the cat and mouse game, which is hilarious. And then they also chose Braun Strowman. Think about that. Here's what's interesting. Ricochet and Braun Strowman last year challenged for the undisputed tag team titles at the time, and because of that, Braun Strowman was out with a neck injury, and now he's back. He's back on Raw. Honestly, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with Braun Strowman going to Raw. 100% smart picks. SmackDown chose all the members of the Pride and Tiffany Stratton. Because of the fact that her and Naomi are challenging Bayley for the WWE Women's Title this Saturday at Backlash, I think it was smart to keep Tiffany on SmackDown. That was a smart one. As far as the Pride goes, I'm not surprised because of the fact that Montez Ford and Bianca Belair are married, as you guys saw from their reality show Loving WWE, Bianca and Montez, which if you guys haven't seen that show on Hulu, check it out. It was insanely hilarious and it was awesome. Love them. They're incredible people. Shout outs to them. But honestly, I'm not surprised, but it was a smart choice, in my honest opinion. I feel like if Bianca Belair was drafted to Raw, and the Pride was also drafted to Raw, I feel like that they could have thrived so much. But the Pride has already been on a huge roll. ever since their victory over the final testament at WrestleMania, maybe we might see the Street Profits become tag team champions, which is possible, but we'll have to wait and see. Round 3, though, Raw chose the entire LWO, including Carlito of all people, and Drew McIntyre. I'm gonna be honest, and I'm saying it now, the LWO to Raw was probably the worst decision, was probably the worst draft pick ever. And I'm saying that because of the fact that when you look at the LWO, they may have stamped their names in the history books on SmackDown. The problem is that we could have seen Rey Mysterio versus Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE title. And for all we know, we could have also seen Rey Mysterio versus Logan Paul in a rematch. For the United States title, which is possible, but that's just how I see it. I feel like Aldis dropped the ball with the LWO. McIntyre, though, I mean, obviously he's had his issues with CM Punk, and not only that, he's dealing with Sheamus' bullshit as well. So him staying on Raw, I'm not surprised, but Pierce made the right call. SmackDown in round 3 chose Legado del Fantasma and Shinsuke Nakamura. Obviously, now Santos doesn't have to deal with Rey Mysterio anymore, but I feel like he could now chase after the US title. So that was a smart one. Shinsuke, I don't know. This one's a bit controversial. I feel like this deserves a purple check mark, and the reason for it is because he could have filed to be a free agent. My opinion, he could have filed to be a free agent, and if he went back to NXT for a short time, he could have been a 3-time NXT champion, tying Samoa Joe with that many reigns. But that's just my opinion. That's my opinion. I feel like that could have been the case, but who knows? But as far as round 4 goes, Raw chose the Judgment Day and the former NXT champion Ilya Dragunov. Judgment Day, bad call. Keeping them all together, bad call. That was a very bad call. Reason being, I feel like Dominic Mysterio should have been drafted to SmackDown alone. And the reason for it is this: with Rhea Ripley now on the shelf, if Dominic Mysterio were to have been drafted over to SmackDown, he would literally have to win matches on his own, and it would prove that he cannot do it without the Judgment Day. So he would end up having to join Legado del Fantasma, and I feel like that Legado del Fantasma could have been complete right there. That's just how I see it, but again, bad, no pun intended, but that was a bad judgment call in my opinion. But Dragunov to Raw, excuse me, I'm not surprised. Obviously with his performance, the Raw after WrestleMania against Shinsuke Nakamura, that was a smart decision on Adam Pearce's part. SmackDown chose Naomi and the team of Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. Naomi, awesome call. Aldis made the right call in my opinion. But Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, purple check mark. I feel like just like with Shinsuke, they could have passed them off as free agents, which is a possibility. But We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see how they'll fare against the SmackDown against SmackDown's women's division. With against women like Belair and Cargill, and perhaps perhaps maybe we might see Bailey and Naomi team up. I mean, that's a possibility. But round 5, Raw chose the New Day and Lyra Valkyria. Honestly, New Day, smart pick. Lyra, smart pick. Lyra has had her, I wouldn't say her issues with Becky Lynch, but they came from the same cloth, if you will. I know it's a really old but really bad cliche, but it's a fact. They were both born and raised in Dublin, Ireland. They both, traveled. They both traveled the world, and they both dominated NXT with an iron fist. So for both Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyrie to be on Raw, I cannot wait to see those two team up. We could potentially see a team between Lyra Valkyria and the Man. That would be interesting. That would be very, very interesting. But for round 5, SmackDown chose Pretty Deadly, and of course Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. Pretty Deadly, they still have a lot to prove. Definitely a smart pick. Candice and Indy, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like they should have stayed on Raw because of the fact that the women's tag team champions are now on Raw. But at the same time, when you really think about it, we could potentially see Bayley versus Candice LeRae for the WWE Women's title at some point down the road. So I'm gonna give that one a blue check mark. That was a pretty good call. But the final round 6, Raw chose The Final Testament and Bronson Reed. I'm not gonna lie, my opinion for The Final Testament, purple check mark. I feel like they could have gone. They could have been drafted to either brand. And I feel like maybe being drafted to NXT probably would have been better. Mainly because of the fact that you look at Karrion Kross. He thrived so well in NXT as the NXT champion. And he won the title twice. And as far as the Authors of Pain, come on. They were in their prime. No pun intended with the drink prime, but you guys get the idea. But they were in their prime in NXT. They dominated the tag team division with an iron fist. So I feel like they should have been passed as free agents, and maybe, just maybe, we could have seen them on all 3 brands at some point. But they are on Raw, so I really can't complain in my honest opinion. But as far as Bronson Reed goes, definitely a smart choice to keep him on Raw, because of the fact that he's been on a huge roll ever since winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal on SmackDown a few weeks ago. He's been on a huge roll as of late, and last night he literally came this close from losing the Intercontinental title to Sami Zayn. He was this close, but of course Chad Gable got involved, and now there's been a lot of chatter that we might see a triple threat this Saturday at Backlash, which is possible, but we'll have to wait and see. But for the final round, on SmackDown's end, they chose DIY and of course Blair Davenport from NXT. DIY, they've already established dominant. They had already established dominance on Raw. So now it's time for them to shine on NXT, and to be able to hear Mike Rome say DIY, I mean, come on, you can't go wrong. You cannot go wrong with that. And as far as Blair Davenport goes, I mean, she is probably one of the biggest dark horse picks in WWE history. So for her to be on SmackDown, definitely a smart pick. I could definitely see a lot of dream matches going on. Blair Davenport and Jade Cargill. Blair Davenport and Nia Jax. Think about that. Think about that. And maybe just maybe we might see Blair Davenport become a babyface, which is possible, but we will have to wait and see over time. Because it all just depends on how the fans will react to her skill set in the ring. So, but as far as round 7 goes, which took place on Raw Talk, Raw chose Dijak from NXT, Diamond Mine, Natalya, New Catch Republic, Odyssey Jones, and of course Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. Honestly, Dijak to Raw, smart pick, but at the same time, he could have also stayed in NXT and potentially become North American champion. So, blue check and a purple check for Dijak. Diamond Mine to Raw, smart pick. Natalya to Raw, smart pick. New Catch Republic, bad call. That was a bad call. I feel like New Catch Republic still had a lot to prove on SmackDown. So definitely, New Catch Republic definitely should have stayed on Raw. Odyssey Jones, I mean, he could have passed off as a free agent, so purple check for that. And then Carter and Chance, obviously they are still very young. They still have a lot to prove. So them staying on Raw, smart picks. Now as far as SmackDown goes, they were only able to get 3 picks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So they were only able to get 3 picks. So they chose Giovanni Vinci, Apollo Crews, and Tegan Nox. Honestly, I'm not surprised. Because of the fact that Kaiser was, attacked Giovanni Vinci after what happened last week on Raw, Vinci to SmackDown, I can totally see him just thriving so much without Imperium. So it'll be interesting to see. Apollo Crews to SmackDown, again, free agency. He could have been a free agent. So purple check mark. Tegan Nox, definitely the same thing. I feel like that deserves a purple check mark. She could have also passed off as a free agent. But overall, I mean, my thoughts on the draft, honestly, this was actually pretty stacked. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4 red checks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 purple checks, and the rest are blue. Think about that for Raw. SmackDown, no red checks, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 purple checks. So I don't know. We will have to wait and see because the draft picks will be locked in next Monday on Raw. And it will be interesting to see what happens, but all I can say is get ready, guys, because we're gonna be in for one hell of a brand new year for WWE, leading into next year's WrestleMania and of course next year's WWE draft if that takes place. But with that being said, guys, that will do it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments below your thoughts on the draft. Were these the right picks? Or do you think there could have been, that the picks could have been different? Let me know down in the comments below, and that'll do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more WWE topic videos like this in the future, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and follow me on all my social media. My ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.